In Geneva, Switzerland, to co-chair the Global Commission on the Future of Work. A body of international labour organisations is expected to hold bilateral talks with ILO Director-General Ryder before meeting with his co-chair, Swedish Prime Minister Stefen Lofven. The Commission will focus on the world's response to the fourth industrial revolution amid concerns over job losses. Our reporter Aldrin Sampear joins us now from Geneva. Good evening to you, Aldrin. You've obviously been following the president in Switzerland. We know job numbers in South Africa remain low. What are the outcomes from his trip so far?
Well, the president's just had his first meeting with Guy Ryder, the Director-General, as you've indicated, of the ILO. And that meeting, unfortunately, is a closed meeting. We've been chucked out of that meeting. And then the Prime Minister of Sweden as well. This will be the first debriefing meeting that's taking place ahead of a co-chairing session that will be taking place tomorrow around the recommendations that they've received from various counterparts, including social organizations, civil rights organizations, as well as labor and various governments as well, and how they should be responding to this issue around the fourth industrial revolution. But also, on the other hand, is you have the issue around climate change, and according to one of the reports that were tabled before, the Inception report, that report also details how climate change could be affecting work as we know it, or even the definition of work as we know it. And of course, there's the issue around technological advances. I was actually saying to one of my colleagues earlier on that one day we could find ourselves in a space where you have even journalists' work being taken over by this artificial intelligence and this new sweep of artificial intelligence, as well as this technological advances that are currently taking place. Look at what's happening in the newsroom, for instance, now. Once upon a time, there was only TV news and radio news and broadcasting, but all of a sudden now we have digital news as well. It's an entire department, for instance, at the SABC as well. So there is this development that is taking place. But Guy Ryder, in one of the interviews that he's given before, indicated that some people make the argument that technology kills jobs, but sometimes technology also creates jobs. And this is what we're seeing with social media, for instance.
I suppose, Aldrin, we have to ask the question, given the pressing domestic crises that the president has been dealing with in recent days, how big and how high on his agenda should this meeting in Switzerland be?
Well, it's certainly high on his agenda, because remember that South Africa is campaigning to get this permanent seat, rather the non-permanent seat, on the Security Council. So you have President Ramaphosa, who's been traveling the world trying to woo investors as well. So this is certainly something huge for him in terms of making sure that he appeals to the international community. And actually, when he arrived this morning, one of the questions that we asked him was this decision by South Africa to recall the ambassador to Israel, and he spoke about the atrocities that has occurred in Palestine on the Gaza border, and spoke about how the world should be responding to this issue, and also considering that tomorrow he will be meeting some leaders from around the world. Although it will not be heads of state, one can only assume that on the sidelines of the discussions that will be taking place here, that this is an issue that the president will be highlighting with some of the world's leaders who will be meeting here. I was speaking actually to the ambassador, the permanent representative of South Africa here in Geneva, and she was saying that one of the things that has come forward is an application by various member states that have called for an investigation, a commission of inquiry into the killings that have taken place in Israel over the past few years. And if that request resurfaces yet again, South Africa will certainly support that. So one can be assured that President Ramaphosa will also be pushing for something like that here when he meets some of these leaders from the various countries.
All right, our Aldrin Sampear in Geneva in Switzerland there, following President Ramaphosa's visit to that country.